Josh Lawson, congratulations on The Little Death.
Oh, thank you so much. Yeah, it's been a long road, and it's really exciting to be at this stage of it, about to release it, into Australia.
Josh, can you just describe the film to someone who has absolutely no idea about it?
Right. Gosh, where do you start? All right. In a nutshell, it's about five couples in a sort of a regular neighbourhood in suburbia somewhere in Australia, and each of them have an unusual sex fetish that affects their relationship and presents challenges and obstacles that have very interesting consequences in their lives.
Now, Josh, why this topic?
Well, I felt like there was a bit of a hole in a bit of a gap in this subject in Australian film. I haven't seen it very often on Australian film, and I think there's so much to explore when it comes to sex, because it's something that we are all familiar with. It's something that affects everyone because we're all sort of sexual creatures in some way or another, and I think that the subject of sex, it has so much scope for comedy and drama and awkwardness and naughtiness and titillation and everything that's good in a movie. So for me, it felt like the perfect subject for a first feature.
You could have gone light comedy. You could have gone romantic comedy. You could have gone in several other directions dealing with sex. You have deliberately chosen to go down the dark comedy route. Yeah. I want to know why you decided to take that avenue.
Yeah, well, I wanted to be... I wanted the film to be surprising. I wanted it to be different. And, I just wanted to make a film that we hadn't seen before. Why was it dark? Well, it has moments of darkness, but it also has moments of real levity as well. I think for me, I wanted the film to feel like a bit of a roller coaster. That for 93 minutes, that you are on a real ride. And 1 minute you're laughing, and the next minute you're shocked, and the next minute you're moved, and then there's something very very romantic, and yeah. So which is all the things that sex and a relationship can be. So in that way, I kind of wanted the film to feel like a bit of a sexual experience. That the rhythm of the film gets sort of a little more chaotic and faster, and then it kind of ends with this sort of third act, climax that feels almost ecstatic before ending with a big bang, and then a moment of calm afterwards. So, the film, I'm hoping that audiences walk out of the theatre a bit breathless and sweaty and feel like a cigarette in a cold shower.
Apart from the entertainment value in the film, which is considerable, you also have an agenda with this film, don't you?
Look, I don't know if I wouldn't say that necessarily. I mean, I would say the only agenda that I have in the film is to be different. Perhaps my agenda comes from a certain dissatisfaction with the type of films that we tend to make a lot of in this country, and that is let's just put it in the box of crime drama. I think we do that a lot. And I have probably seen enough crime drama in Australia for a while. If I have an agenda, it's simply that I love comedy. I don't think we've done much adult, sophisticated comedy in this country, and I certainly don't know if we've tackled sex in... if we have done it, it certainly hasn't happened for a long time, and so I feel like it's time to see an adult sex comedy in this country. So if there's an agenda, that's it.
But you'd like people, presumably, to talk more openly with each other about what they want sexually?
I really do. I think so, and I think in that way, I think we can afford to be a little more European. We've certainly found that in the in the festival run of this film and in early screenings, that it does provoke a conversation. That is excellent. I love that. I love that people are sticking around for the Q&As in some of these early screenings, and we're all talking about sex, and we're laughing, and we're riveted by the subject, and I hope that it gets couples talking about about their own kinks and fantasies and fetishes in their own bedrooms.
Now, Josh, you certainly cannot be faulted for being daring and for being extreme. Now, you could have chosen a much milder sexual fantasy to put at the centre of one of the stories in this movie.
Yeah.
Why did you choose one that was so extreme? Are you being deliberately provocative?
I think you need to be. I remember, Peter Weir says something really interesting. He says, make your first film very something. Very ... And I know exactly what he means. If you're gonna make a film, make a splash. Did I want to get people talking? Did I want to be daring, as you say? Well, in order to be daring, you have to tackle a subject that someone hasn't tackled before. And if they haven't tackled it before, there's probably a reason why. Because it's got some spiky edges, and if you handle it in the wrong way, it's going to come off either offensive or disrespectful. Now, I was very, very careful in handling this subject. It was like a time bomb. You do the wrong thing with this subject, and it'll blow up in your face. Now, I'm confident that the film handles it in a way that is certainly daring, that takes you right to the edge without stepping over the edge, that bends it before it breaks. But I urge people to go see it. And make up their own minds. And I have a feeling that people are going to be far more entertained than they are offended.
You certainly put that topic in a context which suggests that you did a lot of research for this film. I want to know how much work you put into the research of this story and how much work you put into finishing off a screenplay where every word was in place so that you weren't working on the screenplay while you were shooting. It seems like a screenplay that was absolutely 100% finished before you rolled the cameras.
Yeah, well, you're absolutely right. It was that. And part of that was because it took so long to get funding for the film. So to answer the first part of your question, how much research was done, a lot is the answer. So plenty of research into all the fetishes, not the least of which is the one that we're talking about, the fetish that shall not be named. But the research involved, case studies. It involved talking to sexologists. It involved going to online chat forums to talk to a community of people with particular fetishes. And after talking to people and getting their personal stories, reading up on documented case studies and talking to therapists, I felt like I had enough research to be able to handle this topic in the way that I needed to handle it in order to tell this story. How do I get the script ready up to the point? Well, it took years. It took years to get the money for it. And over that time, I developed it constantly, and that included rehearsing with some actors. That included doing table reads and making sure that the script really didn't have a lot of air in it. I wanted to make sure that the script was absolutely ready, because knowing that this was the first feature, I didn't want to be messing around on set, as you so rightly put it, because on a budget like this and on a time schedule like this, every second counted, and we needed to make sure that time went into the right places.
I just want to know what the narrative purpose was of having that bridging device of the registered sex offender introducing himself to his new neighbours and giving them gollywog biscuits, which have become like a symbol of political incorrectness. Can you just explain what the function of that device was?
Yeah, look, absolutely. So this new neighbour was played by the incredible Kim Gyngell. It essentially links all the characters together in an unusual way. So puts them in the same geography, which is really interesting. But he represents a couple of other things. That whatever his fetish is, and we don't know what it is, he's this amazing enigmatic character, but that whatever his fetish is against the law. So the law has deemed this fetish unacceptable. But all the other fetishes we see in the film are not illegal at all. So their dilemmas are moral, not legal. And I wanted to see the distinction between a moral and a legal sex fetish. I thought that was really interesting. But the use of the gollywog. So, as you say, so well put. It has in Australia. I remember when they got banned because they were this symbol of political incorrectness. But what he does is use nostalgia to distract people, because I think that what it represents is how people are really living in their own bubbles, how they almost collide with other people, as they almost pass each other in doctors' offices or on the street or all sorts of things. But they're so consumed by their own problems that the second that Kim Gimmel's character Steve waves something that reminds them of a time past, they are completely uninterested in the thing that is right in front of their face. And not only did I find that very funny, but I think it's very true. I really do think that we're all, relatively self-centered when it comes to, our own problems.
To what degree do you think you and your film are going to be benefiting from what can be described as the 50 Shades of Grey factor?
Yeah, that's a good point. As I said before, I've been trying to make the film for a long time, but there's something about this time being the right time. And maybe it is the 50 Shades of Grey factor. Maybe now is the time that we are ready to talk about a different kind of sex, a kinkier sex. So do I think it'll benefit? Yeah, I do. I think that perhaps this is the comedy version of 50 Shades of Grey. Maybe, I hope we benefit from it, and I think the time is now, and I think Australians, and in fact the world, I think, are very ready for a comedy that is as daring as this, relating to this subject.
Bayana, as an actress, what was she like to work with?
Well, Bayana's an old friend of mine. We went to drama school together. So, she's one of the most fearless actors that I know, and she really dove into that role, into a really, really tricky role, and she's so terrific. And I think that her and I have a great chemistry on screen. But, working with her is a joy. I mean, she's... she doesn't balk at any tricky material at all. In fact, I think she relishes in it. How
is your American sidebar to your career going?
Yeah, great. I mean, I'm continuing to do House of Lies, so we're about to shoot the 4th season of that in a couple of weeks. And I'm really excited about the possibilities that this film will present in the next year, because I'm hoping this is the beginning of some incredible new things in my career.